Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are and where you're watching. My name is Posh Bertie, the poshest man in all of sports entertainment, and welcome to another edition of Desert Island Kickabouts. Yes, I know Lee Meadows is usually the host of this, Gooner Gathering's founding father, but I'm taking over from him just this. Well, I say this once. I hosted it when he did it, but I'm doing it again, okay? And joining me is a very special guest. He has appeared on this channel twice before in cameo appearances, but here he is making a proper appearance. It's my very own dad, the Rick Steiner to my Bron Breaker, the Dusty Rhodes to my Cody Rhodes. Yes, those are all wrestling references. I had a big old intro and everything, and I completely forgot. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, good.
Okay, we were actually going to think about me just being in my room, my dad in another room, and doing it from there, like how me and Lee Meadows do it. But I think you might need a StreamYard account for that, and we didn't want to go into all of that. It was already time to start recording anyway. So here we are. So basically, you know the format of Desert Island Discs, where we got the idea from.
Yeah.
But before we do, we'll start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
How did you, by the way, do you notice the shirt he's wearing? Of course, I mentioned my second favourite team as he pats his bosom with pride there. He's wearing an Ebbsfleet United shirt.
This season's Ebbsfleet United shirt.
He's got the recent shirt and he's got his season ticket as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. As I was saying, how did you get into football? What made you think, well, I like this football malarkey. It's quite good, that. What made you think it?
Well, I always liked football right from when I was very little and played for the school team at primary school. And my football career probably peaked at about the age 10 or 11, where
Same as me.
Used to play up front, scored a lot of goals for Monkton Park Primary School. Back in those days, I supported, funnily enough, this team called Manchester City.
Never heard of
it. Which was a strange team to support growing up, as I did in Wiltshire. But we'd been on holiday with another family, and they had a kid, and he supported Man City. Now I realise now that he supported Man City because this was about 1969, 1970, when Manchester City were briefly a very good team. So it was like he was supporting the team that was at the top of the table, like, I don't know, like Arsenal, for example, or Manchester City now. So for quite a long time, I lived in Wiltshire and I supported Manchester City, who never really won anything. Didn't go to much football because there wasn't much football around.
You were a proper loyal supporter of Man City because you knew them from the days when they were in Division 2 or League 1 as it's known now.
I suppose I got into going into football and watching lots of games until I moved up to London. And I lived in London, and I actually entered a competition and I won 2 season tickets to Barnet.
I was gonna get to this. That was a question. Well, now that you've mentioned it, okay. So you supported Man City before they became the Man City we knew today.
From afar.
Yes. But another club out of many that holds a special place in your heart is Barnet.
That's right.
And why on earth? Now, Lee Meadows actually has been to Underhill a couple of times to watch the Arsenal under-21s, I think, in action. So he is familiar with that particular ground. Yeah. Why did Barnet appeal to you, or what forced you to appeal to Barnet?
Yeah, so I was working in London, young, living on my own. Went to all sorts of different football matches at different London football grounds. And one summer, the Evening Standard newspaper ran a competition to win 2 season tickets to the London team of your choice. And I thought, well, everyone's going to go for Arsenal, Spurs, West Ham, Chelsea, aren't they? I thought, I'll enter for Barnet. And you had to answer a question about the club, and then you had to complete the catchphrase, I support Barnet because, or I support Arsenal because. So this was at a time when Barry Fry was the manager of Barnet, and they were scoring lots of goals and they were letting lots of goals in. So my catchphrase was, I support Barnet because it's never 0-0 at Underhill. Well, hey!
And there we go.
And that was my winning phrase. And I won 2 season tickets. And so in those early years when Barnet were very first in the Football League, I supported them, and I went along, and I was quite a fan. But then I met your mother, and she became a bit of a distraction.
Yeah.
And she became my wife, and I stopped going to football, and we moved to South London, and my sort of connection with Barnet lapsed.
You mentioned how it's never 0-0 at Underhill. I've only been to one Barnet game in my life, and that was with you. It was around September 2011. I remember it was against Accrington Stanley.
Yeah.
What was the score?
Yeah, it was 0-0.
Yeah, excellent. And I noticed that Underhill is a very funny pitch, doesn't it?
Well, it did.
It's like a slope.
It did. It doesn't exist anymore.
I know.
But yes, it had a great big slope. It was a muddy pitch, and lots of teams would come, and it was a fortress. Underhill.
I bet it was.
Manchester City played at Underhill, and I've seen Middlesbrough with Brazilian players playing at Underhill. They were good times, but life moves on. We moved house, and now it's all about Ebbsfleet.
Absolutely. And you say things have moved on, and we're going to move on here because we're going to get right into it now. I asked you for 3 particular football matches you would watch if you were stranded on a desert island. Somehow there's a DVD player there. It runs on solar power. I don't know how it works. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, what is the first match on the docket for you?
The first most memorable match for me would be a Manchester City match that I went to when my brother was living in Manchester as a student, and he became a Manchester City season ticket holder. Now, this is back before the Etihad. This is when they played at Main Road. And I had a friend, still have a friend called Dougie, and he's a huge Huddersfield Town supporter. So my brother supporting Manchester City, Dougie supported Huddersfield, and me went to Main Road, and we saw Manchester City play Huddersfield. And the score was Manchester City 10, Huddersfield 1.
Bit of a close one, though.
It was an extraordinary game, and because we wanted to be friendly to Dougie, we stood in the Huddersfield Town end as the goals went in, and 3 different Manchester City players scored hat-tricks on that day. And I remember...
Could you name them?
Yeah, David White, Paul Stewart, and Tony Adcock.
I have no idea who any of those 3 are.
Paul Stewart played for Spurs. And David White, I think, played for England once. He was a sort of pacey winger. But yeah, so 10-1. That's the highest scoring game. Now, you and me went to a 9-1, didn't we, a couple of years ago?
Yes.
That's the closest I've been. We've been to a 9-1, but I have actually seen a 10-1. And when we got the train back to Huddersfield, and various people saying to us, what was the score? And we were saying 10-1. Nobody believed us. It was
like, stop joking, you.
Yeah, it was
a Newcastle accent.
Quite a game.
Joking.
So that would definitely be one of them. And also Huddersfield wore these really horrendous bright yellow and blue, or yellow and black checked shirts. If there's any footage on YouTube of this game, then even the shirts which Huddersfield wore were horrendous, about as horrendous as their defending.
Can't be as bad as Arsenal's away kit this season, though, surely.
Similar.
Yeah, it's like a green and black squiggles on it.
Yeah.
We all think it's a bit shoddy.
Well, I think this Huddersfield away kit was a bit shoddy, as was their performance. But by the time the 9th and 10th goals went in, the Huddersfield supporters were just laughing about it. Really, it was such a one-sided game.
It's just funny how because comparing it to me, when I was the very first person to do this, I picked some really exciting matches. I picked a 3-2, which was Arsenal Hull and Ebbsfleet Chelmsford, and you've gone with the very one-sided match, which is
exciting.
I know, but it's just comparison to what we think and everything.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to start something up here. Next up, we're gonna just break up from football. Is there? I mean, I know that you are. Well, you've got a big old collection of music in your office that you have. There's a section that's just filled with CDs. I think about 75% of those CDs are from the band Teenage Fan Club, because I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I have seen Teenage Fan Club. There's one band that I like.
Okay, but I'm just noticing it because I've just seen You got a bunch of them, and I think about 9 of them are from that particular band. Anyway, is there a particular song or an album that you would take with you to listen to it until your heart's content?
Well, for me, I think growing up, the biggest band that had most influence on me would have been the Jam. So I would probably pick, if I was allowed an album, then I would pick All Mod Cons by the Jam, which I think is a great album, and I still know I could sing that album from the beginning to the end.
We don't want to get demonetized, so we don't want to get a copyright strike. I know your singing is marvelous, but we don't do that.
So that would be the album, and if it was a single, then Going Underground by the Jam. When I was at school, Going Underground went straight into the charts at #1 at a time when the charts meant something. And that was like the most exciting thing that happened at school. And we all got very excited because we all liked the Jam.
Yes, that was when Top of the Pops was very big, wasn't it?
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that was when music were music.
Yeah.
Not like this newfangled modern rubbish.
To be fair, I kind of some of the songs that come out today, I kind of agree with you there. But no, your favourite song by the Jam is Going Underground.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Before we go into your second match, because we're picking up a lot of pace here, let's speak about Ebbsfleet United, shall we?
Yeah.
How do you rate? Obviously, Ebbsfleet got promoted last season. Last season, they were finished first in the National League South by a massive margin. Less said about a few results against Dartford, the better. But we got. Unlike some teams I support, we didn't bottle the league. We actually won it quite convincingly. How do you think they're going to do in the National League this coming season?
Well, before a ball has been kicked, you can be as confident, as optimistic as you like, can't you? So I think we're going to surprise quite a lot of people because we've had a strong and experienced squad. And we've added to it with 3 or 4 players signed through the summer that have got full league experience, never mind National League experience. So all of that makes me feel really positive. Now, the great risk is that our manager, Dennis Kucherib, likes to play really nice football.
Bit like Arteta.
Passing it around and and quite a few of our supporters think that this is going to be unacceptable in the National League, which is full of like great big muscly blokes who are
it's like wrestling,
bashing the ball up the pitch and kind of
Route 1,
and kicking chunks out of each other, as opposed to the sort of pretty boy style football which we'll be playing. So that's the test, and I really hope that we do well, because it would be a vote of confidence in football that is good to watch. So I'm going to predict that we don't quite make it to the playoffs, but we finished top half.
Okay. I mean, I was going to go for around like just mid-table position for Ebbsfleet, really, because you had this would mean nothing to some people here. Well, Lee Meadows, I keep mentioning him. He's not even here, but he knows a bit about Ebbsfleet thanks to me. And this is a hot take that you said. You said that the squad that we have now is better than the squad where we got through via the playoffs in 2016-17, when we had the likes of Danny Kedwell and Jack Powell.
Oh, this is a stronger squad. Yeah,
we did win the league. We did win the league this season, and the squad I'm talking about won by the playoffs. But I don't know. There's something about that. That's why I probably got into supporting Ebbsfleet. That was the glory days. Maybe
they were a good team as well. They scored a lot of goals, didn't they? But I think this team, people know their role. It's good football to watch. I'm confident. 9th. I'm going to say 8th or 9th. We're going to finish.
And there's around 7 teams make it to the playoffs, don't they? Because they have so we could. You think we're going to go just outside the playoffs?
I do. Yeah, but don't panic or lose the nerve too quickly, because our first game of the season is away to Rochdale, who've only just come down. So I'm not going to. And our top scorer from last year, Dominic Polion, he's suspended, isn't he, for the first game? Yeah.
Didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he got sent off at the end of last season.
Oh.
So don't. If we lose that one, hold your nerve.
Yes. Oh my word! I think
Something's just been smashed downstairs.
oh, it's just Jamie Overton again. He's anyway. Blame the cat. If in doubt, blame the cats. So let's move on to your second match that you would take on a desert island with you and watch. What is it?
Oh, no, I don't know if I want to watch it, but I thought I was picking memorable games that are stuck in the mind. For not always for the right reasons.
Oh, okay.
Can I do that?
You can do that. This is your episode.
Okay, so the second game that I'm going to pick, but please don't make me watch it again, is Queen's Park against Cowdenbeath in the Scottish League Division 2.
Now, if you thought my selection of Ebbsfleet versus Chelmsford was obscure, this man here has taken it to another level. Why? I mean, you didn't want to watch the match again, but you're taking it with you.
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to make a last-minute change and go with something different,
no,
are you gonna go with it?
I'll take it with me because it's an interesting one to talk about.
Okay.
So, and the reason that I went to Queen's Park against Cowdenbeath was that Queen's Park's home ground is actually Hampden Park.
Yeah.
Which is the Scottish, as you probably know, is the Scottish international team's ground. So it's a bit like a league team playing at Wembley, but it's a bit like Ebbsfleet United playing at Wembley, really.
Yeah.
So Queen's Park are a tiny team, and they're amateurs, and they play. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to go to this huge ground? And I wondered how many people were going to go. The attendance was 250, and the ground holds, I don't know, 60,000, I suppose, or something like that. Yeah. What happened was, I thought we'd all be scattered.
They closed
almost all of it.
They closed the roof, or not the roof, the stand.
So we were all in one tiny bit of the ground.
Yeah.
That's the Queen's Park supporters and the Cowdenbeath supporters.
Yeah.
And me.
Yeah.
All in this one narrow bit of the ground. And the game started, and every time the ball went off the pitch, it sort of went into the stands, and then the players had to clamber over all the seats to get the ball back, to bring it back to the pitch. So quite a lot of the game was taken up watching players climbing over the seats to get the ball back in order to carry on playing the game. The match finished Queen's Park 0, Cowdenbeath 1. And I just remember this Scottish guy sitting just over here from me, and he was going, "Oh my God, this is brutal! This is brutal!" Because
Alan McAnally entered the room.
Because the quality of the football was so bad, and I'm not joking. This was around the time when I was following Barnet, and Barnet would have thrashed Queen's Park and Cowdenbeath by a considerable margin. So
do you think Ebbsfleet would have thrashed it?
Oh yeah. So it's very poor quality football
that you would take and watch on a desert island.
That I would take and watch in order to see the players clambering over the seats to get the ball back, and just to kind of giggle at this very small number of supporters in a tiny bit of the ground where the whole of the rest of the stadium was closed. And that's the only Scottish League match that I've ever been to, and I won't be rushing back.
Nothing against the people of Scotland, by the way. It's just that only one football match from that particular era. You've been to France and Spain before to watch football matches, didn't you? Or one?
So I once saw Paris Saint-Germain play Celtic at wherever their ground is,
Parc
de France, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Arsenal lost the Champions League final in that ground.
Yeah, I went there, and also, and this is a very bizarre one. Back in the day when I still had a kind of lingering bit of affection for Manchester City, comes through my brother. I had a Man City shirt, and I went on holiday to San Sebastian, in northern Spain, and there was a poster in a bar window, and it said that there was a pre-season friendly tournament going on, and Real Zaragoza are the team that play in San Sebastian, and they were playing against Manchester City. So I thought, well, we've got to go along. So I put my Man City shirt on, and they must have been very surprised that anyone from Man City turned up. And I watched, and Man City lost 1-0. And there were about 30 Manchester City supporters who must have followed the club, anywhere and everywhere they go in the world. And remember, this was back in the day when they were probably a championship side. But yeah, so I've seen football in France and I've seen football in Spain and I've seen football in Scotland.
Okay, excellent. You've and hopefully in 2026, because you have a friend who lives in Seattle, we might see some international football in the US. Hint, wink, 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 nudge, nudge.
That would be all right, wouldn't it?
We'll see what happens. It's a few years away. Gooner Gathering World Tour, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to let you rest your voice for a bit because I just want to say this channel has just hit 200 subscribers, which is a magnificent achievement considering how we started. We started with, we'll be honest, me and Lee were doing this for fun. We still do, obviously, but we went in with not much expectations at all because back when we worked, we used to do Canon Chatter. We missed doing all the watch-alongs, so we just did all this for fun. And now we've got 200 subscribers. The growth of this channel has been amazing. We aimed for 200 subscribers before the Community Shield, and we've done that. So there we go. Your son is a celebrity, almost. Yeah, it's not just me. It's Mr. Lee Meadows as well, who this is his channel, so he should take a lot more of the credit. Anyway, next up. Do you have a particular a film, a movie to take with you on this desert island?
I'm not a huge one for films.
Neither was I, to be honest.
But the last film that I saw that I really liked, and it's still on the Skybox, and I've encouraged you to watch, is Blinded by the Light.
I thought you were going to say Barnyard from 2007.
That's not on the Skybox.
Brilliant. We've got it on DVD. Phenomenal movie that is. Anyway. Blinded by the Light.
Blinded by the Light, which is about a Asian teenager growing up in Luton, and he's a big fan of Bruce Springsteen and Bruce Springsteen's music. And it's a bit like it's a sort of teenage love music type.
Yeah, it's not really
movie.
Lovey-dovey stuff.
No,
Isn't my genre, but.
No, but it's not lovey-dovey.
Yeah,
anyway.
You know what I mean.
It's more kind of awkward teenager, which is which is a bit more your genre.
There we go. Well, something I can kind of relate to, I guess.
I think you'd enjoy it. So yeah, I picked that film because I've only seen it once, and it's still on the Skybox, and I wouldn't mind watching it again. So I'll select that as my film. Yes, although Brookside I used to enjoy back in the day.
That was a TV series.
Yeah, that was the soap opera of its time.
There we go.
Yeah.
None of that EastEnders nonsense,
no.
eh? There we go.
A bit edgier than EastEnders.
We're making good time for this. We come now to your third and final football match you wanted to take with you. I think I might know what it is because you mentioned it, and I think it might be somewhat similar to the Cowden Beef game.
Oh no!
Well, it's not that.
No,
we'll talk about that afterwards because
right,
we've got a bit of time.
Okay.
So, what's your third match?
Well, I thought that I ought to pick an Ebbsfleet match, and I guess you probably picked this one as well.
Yeah.
But I would pick the playoff final, Ebbsfleet against Chelmsford, where we had been to lots of the games in the season, and it all came down to a game which we were pretty confident that we were going to win, and then one of our players got sent off,
Anthony Cook,
just before half time, and then Chelmsford scored, didn't they?
Yeah.
And
we all thought, there we go, it's over.
Yeah, and remarkably it wasn't.
No.
And we didn't even need penalties.
No.
We came back and we won 2-1, and everyone was on the pitch dancing around, and good times were had by all. So that would be a very uplifting match to watch if I got a bit bored with Queen's Park against Cowden Beef.
Yeah. I always thought Darren McQueen's winner was in like the last kick of the game.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't, because I saw there's highlights of it on YouTube. It was actually in like the 80th minute. Yeah. If not maybe a tad earlier, but it felt, I think all the sending off and the 1-0 felt like we were here forever. But it did feel like a last minute like Reece Nelson against Bournemouth. It felt like a last-minute spectacular, didn't it?
It did, yeah. No, I thought it was right, sort of towards the end. Yeah, very, very nerve-wracking, and a much better experience than my playoff experience with Ebbsfleet. Not this season just gone, but the one before, where we were 1-0 up with a very short. No, we were 2-1 up. With a very short amount of time to go, and we blew it in true Arsenal fashion.
There you go. It wasn't. Couldn't have been the fault of the players, because it was actually down to a certain member of the crowd in a way. He let off a flare, not Ric Flair. He let off an actual flare on the pitch, and the referee added time to the added time.
They had to, because it was an artificial pitch. The game was at Dorking Wanderers. So Ebbsfleet scored, went 2-1 up. One of our less intelligent supporters set a flare off, landed on the pitch, set the pitch on fire. So by the time they put the pitch fire out, Dorking had regrouped, reconvened themselves, scored an equaliser,
took it to extra
time, got a winner, and that was that. Still, it did mean that we had a fantastic other season just finished in the National League South, where we beat everyone and everyone.
It was something to build upon.
It was. It was.
Which is a phrase that Arsenal fans have been saying.
Well, good luck with that. I hope you build as successfly this season coming as Ebbsfleet managed to do. We need
to learn from Ebbsfleet, honestly. Now we can talk about the match.
The other match
that I was thinking you were going to put. Another team that you love is your old local team of Chippenham Town.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I love them, but it was where I grew up. So so I have a bit of a loyalty to Chippenham Town. And yes, was it 1990 or 1991?
You were with my mum at the time.
No, it's much later then.
What, the Deal match?
It must have been 1998. It must have been 1998.
There you go.
Yes, so I quite recently met your mother, who was my girlfriend at the time. And that was a stage of our relationship where she would do anything for me and I would do anything for her.
Yeah.
And Chippenham got to the final of the FA Vase. And so I said, we should go and watch Chippenham at Wembley. And pretty much, I think 2/3 of the town of Chippenham all pitched up at Wembley and got very excited about the football and were right proper.
So they run out of cider?
Well, they got very cross about the price of the pies.
Oh, of course.
And everything in London was very expensive.
Still is.
And all of that. But anyway.
You obviously say the result, but if the match went a certain way, I probably wouldn't have been born. That's probably how significant, or I would have had a different mother. That's how significant this match is.
It was a really, really terrible game. It was probably as bad as Queen's Park,
if not worse.
If not worse. And there were no chances. The quality of football was awful. And after about 75 minutes, everyone was kind of bored stiff. And I looked at your mum and she looked very bored. And I thought, if this game goes to extra time, then
your relationship
is in trouble.
Has no time.
Because
it's full time in your relationship with my mother.
another 30 minutes of watching football this bad wouldn't be good for anybody. And thankfully, Deal scored a very scrappy goal. So although the Chippenham supporters were disappointed, at least the game finished after 90 minutes. And that was that. And we haven't been back to Wembley as a couple since.
No, and Chippenham have not been to Wembley since, believe it or not.
No,
as far as I'm concerned.
Unless they passed through in their coach on the way to knocking Dartford out of the playoffs last year.
Yes, and knowing Dartford, it'll probably happen again, because they are bigger bottle jobs than Arsenal are, aren't they?
Seem to be.
And finally, there is just about enough time on the old DVD player for one more section, right?
Right.
As you know, I think me and you are cricket fans. You are a much bigger cricket fan than I am. I think it's been it's probably your most favourite sport that you think it's you enjoy it more than football. I think it's fair to say.
When Somerset are playing, I do,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Somerset are my team.
But I'd say cricket's your number one sport.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a particular cricket match you want to add?
Well,
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, Somerset won the T20 Blast at Edgbaston, and I was there, and that was amazing because we are very well known as the county side that is brilliant at finding extraordinary ways to lose games that it looks like we're going to win or to come second in finals. I think
you are the Arsenal of cricket.
Arsenal have won trophies, many more trophies than Somerset have won. And I think for the last 7 times we'd been to finals day, we had either come second or we'd lost in the semi-finals. So a fortnight ago, we all pitched up at Birmingham. We won the semi-final against Surrey. We played Essex in the final, and we won that as well. So that has got to be the most recent and probably front of mind as a really memorable cricket match for me. And we won the trophy, and you and I have had our photograph taken.
We have.
With the trophy.
We were at Taunton this week, and I had my photo taken with the T20 trophy. Although T20 trophy, it's not new to me. My team has won the T20 before, as you know.
Yeah, but you didn't get close to the trophy then, did you?
Oh no, well, there you go. But I was at finals day 2 years ago. I know you don't want to be reminded of it.
Not really, no, because we didn't win that. That was one of our many times when we came second. Sadly to
Kent. And Kent aren't doing that well now, aren't they? They didn't do well in the T20 at all. They were grouped, weren't they?
They didn't do so well this year, but that's because Somerset beat all comers.
Even Surrey.
Beat Kent twice this year without any great difficulty, I must say.
Yeah, I must admit that. So I think that is it. But before you do go, this is, of course, an Arsenal channel. So I would like to ask you, what do you think of Arsenal's chances this season? Do you think they'll do well, or do you think it was a massive one-season wonder last season and it was a fluke, as some negative fans are saying?
Yeah, I mean, a lot came together for Arsenal for about 2/3 to 3/4 of the season, didn't it? You had a very stable team. You made fewer changes than a lot of the other teams at the top, and that was a really huge positive for you. But then once you started getting injuries, your squad wasn't big enough relative to some of the others, and you suffered. But I think you had a really, really good season. I think what might go wrong for Arsenal is if too many of your supporters get on the back of Arteta.
They already have. They already have. You've seen most of them. Look, people are entitled to their own opinion. I get that. I mean, I'm not a massive full-blooded Arteta in forever fan.
Right.
I am sitting on the fence a lot because the season before, when we finished 5th, I wanted him to go because I thought something's not working. But I think, did enough to stay on for this season coming. So
I think he's a good manager. I think.
Do you think his lack of experience might be a bit?
Yeah, but everyone has to. You sometimes moan about whether you can get a job here or there, and people put too much emphasis on experience.
Arteta went in they threw him in the deep end, didn't he? He went and took charge of a big club like Arsenal.
Yeah, he did pretty well.
You don't immediately get an intern to be the CEO, don't you?
But he's a bit more than an intern, isn't he? I think he's made some big calls. He's got some disruptive influences out of the club. He's brought back
that was the problem when Emery was in charge. I think he was a good manager, but there were a lot of egos in the dressing room.
Yeah, but what?
Like Ozil.
But couldn't he grip that?
No,
too much player power.
They made fun of his accent, didn't they? The way he said "good evening."
Oh, Well, if that was all the problem was.
Something like that.
But you were saying to me that you think that Aston Villa will do well this season.
I do.
Do you think Aston Villa can finish above Arsenal?
Do you know what? I've said this. I think Aston Villa are contenders for top 5, definitely like top 6 area. It would not, and you can clip this and show this to me at the end of the season, viewers.
Right.
It would not surprise me if they did a Leicester, and by that I mean win the league, not get relegated.
So I'm gonna. You asked me how Arsenal are going to do.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal will finish above Aston Villa.
Okay.
I think that's a fairly safe thing for me to say.
You think Unai Emery's not going to get his revenge?
Do you disagree, or you're just saying there's a chance that? Are you telling me that Aston Villa are going to finish above Arsenal?
This season coming is going to be the most unpredictable season, definitely in my lifetime. Because there is, I mean, obviously Man City are going to do incredibly well because it's Man City, but so many teams are improving. You've got the likes of Man United, if they sign some of the targets that are rumoured. Arsenal, obviously, with Declan Rice and Timber as well. And Liverpool, they've got rid of the dead wood in their midfield and have brought in new midfielders, haven't they? Like McAllister and... Yeah. Newcastle and Aston Villa as well. You know, Brighton, if they keep their best players. There are Chelsea under Pochettino. Some of the flops from
Burnley.
I don't think they'll go as far as the league. Famous last words, but I think they'll definitely avoid relegation.
People say they play good football.
Yeah,
and the Championship's an exciting league.
And they cakewalked it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Burnley is a very interesting team. Famous last words, but I don't think they'll be in the same zone as like Newcastle or Villa. Maybe as high as like 11th, maybe. That's what I think. I think they can surprise. They're going to surprise people this season. Yeah. I think they're much like Fulham, coming from the Championship to finish comfortably in mid-table.
They had a good season, didn't they, Fulham? Yeah, last year. Brentford.
Yeah, nice like I said, this coming season, this is going to be the most unpredictable season I've certainly ever seen. Anyone can beat anyone, really.
Completely unpredictable season, and Manchester City will finish 15 points ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And Luton will finish bottom.
I'm talking about places. Yeah. Second place to I think second place to 9th place.
Yeah,
is going to be really unpredictable. Although, I mean, I get what people are saying, that if Arsenal don't win the league and win nothing, it's a failure, and that Arteta must go, etc. I would be happy if Arsenal... I'm predicting Arsenal are going to finish 3rd this season. I'll be happy with that, providing they win a domestic cup. If they finish 3rd and win the FA Cup or Carabao Cup, and progress well in the Champions League, not crash out the group stage, I think that's a solid season for Arsenal. I think that'll satisfy a big portion of the fan base.
I would like Ebbsfleet to go on a bit of a FA Cup run to draw Arsenal in the 3rd round at Stonebridge Road, the Cufflink Stadium, and then Arsenal would have to come to our ground and wear those horrible shirts.
This is our yard now.
There would be a colour clash.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I mean, they'll probably start Nketiah in that game, so no strikers are going to score for Arsenal. But yeah, if it goes to penalty shootout and Ramsdale's in goal, Ebbsfleet have won on penalties easily. No. Ramsdale's a very good keeper, but he just can't save a penalty.
Ebbsfleet aren't that great at penalties either, are they? Actually, that's one of the things last season we were not good at. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
No, Ebbsfleet did come very close to the FA Cup 3rd round last season.
They did.
You had a big tie in the 2nd round, which was at home to Fleetwood, who were in League One.
Yeah,
I believe. Probably the biggest side we faced since 2017 when we faced Doncaster.
Doncaster Rovers, where we were 2-0 up.
Yeah.
And lost 6-2.
There we go. We seem to have a thing for supporting teams that like to crumble, don't we?
Yeah. Sadly.
Yeah, but Ebbsfleet United, FA Cup 3rd round against Arsenal. Listen, I will be there. I will be at Stonebridge Road if that happens. I'll do a live.
If you can get a ticket.
I know. It's going to be Yeah. Oh, or at the Emirates. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
If we
be able to get a ticket there.
Getting tickets to the Emirates is so difficult.
I think,
and it costs about, like, the Arsenal Wolves game. Didn't Arsenal fans pay like 25 grand to go and sit somewhere?
That's ridiculous.
to see them win nothing? Like,
yeah, that's a bit mad. I expect there'd be a fair few Arsenal fans if they played Ebbsfleet who wouldn't be that interested in the game, and you'd be able to pick up a ticket or two.
You've got one of the most rising and most impressive to look at, brilliant playing football teams against Arsenal in that match. I've slated Arsenal too many times on this channel. It's because I've got an Ebbsfleet fan here, and I need to try and cater to my guest. But no. Anyway, that is it. That is it. How did you enjoy your interview?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm a bit disappointed that probably I'm going to be stuck on this island having to watch Queen's Park against Gainesville.
Yeah, well, that was
I misunderstood the brief.
Well, that's your fault, really, isn't it?
But other than that, no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and good luck with the channel. Keep growing the audience. Good luck to Arsenal. You may need it.
Yeah.
And
hopefully not, though. We'll do well.
You can buy me a drink when Arsenal finish above Aston Villa.
Oh, that's we can make that into Lee Meadows. If you're Mr. Meadows, if you're watching this, make what I was saying about Arsenal and Aston Villa in a YouTube short, and we'll see who's right at the end of the season. So you can follow me on Twitter at PoshBertie and Instagram at Bertie Wanless. This is the lovely team from Gooner Gathering. You can follow these people on Twitter. Together, we are at Gooner Gathering. And look, we've got Bertie's Ebbsfleet highlight of the week. When Ebbsfleet play, and I do an Arsenal watch along, I usually talk about Ebbsfleet at half time. So there we go. You can also follow us on Twitch, where me and Lee Meadows will watch a bit of wrestling and talk a load of nonsense, as we usually do, at twitch.tv/Gooner Gathering. That is about it. Any final words?
Anyone who wants to see Ebbsfleet, who has got access to what used to be called BT Sport, we are on 5:20 on Saturday, August the 5th.
Yeah, next week.
So yeah, that's your chance to see us. But I don't think it will be a typical performance, as I say. I think it's going to be a very tough game, that. But anyway, up the fleet.
Right. Yes. And come on, you Gooners. Thank you very much.